Hello, welcome to my video. This is the finale of 𝘬𝘬𝘪𝘮, so if you haven't watched one or both of the other two parts and are interested, you definitely should. This is a kuroken storyline that takes place in the canon haikyuu time skip, so there are very slight spoilers. There are topics surrounding homophobia and conflict with religion. Moreover, a large part of the video is a mature scene. The sex is not explicit, though the sexual foreplay is. There is a timestamp in the description that you may use to skip it in case you are uncomfortable. This story covers mature and touchy content throughout, viewer discretion is advised. As always, I do hope you enjoy. Now on to the video.
In which Kenma and Kuroo rekindle a fire between them they thought was forever lost. When Kenma opened his eyes, he found himself in hell. Or, at least it felt that way with his hangover pounding at the very essence of his skull, the otherwise gentle sunlight peeking through the half-closed blinds being all too burning. His mouth was unbelievably dry, and his muscles ached with fatigue. Kenma sat up with a low groan and reached to his side to grab his phone off his nightstand, only for his hand to catch nothing but air. He whipped his head around, with instant regret because it made him a bit dizzy, to see that his nightstand was missing. Then he realized that his floorboards were replaced with carpet, the walls were a different shade, his desk wasn't there, his clothes were folded neatly on a beanbag he didn't even own, this wasn't even his mattress. That this was Kuroo's room. And then the memories of the previous night began pounding at Kenma's skull, too. There were bits and pieces of the puzzle that wouldn't fit together, but the image was vivid all the same. He had practically been all over Kuroo like the guy was some body pillow. He'd all but announced his undying love for Kuroo in his drunken state. He'd confessed emotions he wasn't even completely aware were buried within him. On top of all that, he'd kissed Kuroo. Kenma doubled over and brought a hand to his forehead, groaning quietly as he tried to take it all in. There was no way he could face Kuroo now. Besides his own embarrassment, who knew how uncomfortable Kenma had made Kuroo feel? Should he even bring it up? Apologize? Or was it no use? Had their almost friendship already been washed down the drain? Kenma's thoughts paused as the smell of breakfast wafted into the room. With a growl of his stomach, it was only then that he realized how hungry he was. Against what may have been his better judgment, Kenma threw the sheets aside and climbed out of the bed, pulling on his clothes before shuffling towards the door. He opened the door and cautiously stepped out into the hall, shivering a bit as his feet hit the cold tiles. He made his way through the familiar home until he found Kuroo in the kitchen. Kuroo was humming with his back turned to Kenma, presumably preparing breakfast on the kitchen counter. He wore red sweatpants but was shirtless, seemingly having opted for a thin, white apron instead. Kenma cleared his throat, causing Kuroo to stop humming and turn around. "Oh, good morning, Kenma. I didn't hear you walking. How are you feeling?" "Like I got hit by a truck." Kuroo snorted. "Yeah, figures. I've got some painkillers, toast, eggs, and coffee, so hopefully that helps you out just a bit." "Hopefully." Kuroo picked up the tray with their food, holding it up with one hand and resting the other on his hip. "Okay, my dining table is a mess with papers, so let's eat on the couch." "All right." Kuroo left the kitchen with the tray and headed towards the living room, Kenma trailing behind him. Kenma instantly plopped himself onto the couch once it was a reasonable distance away, making Kuroo laugh as he set the tray down on the coffee table. "That tired? I feel like I've been awake for days." Kuroo sat beside Kenma and picked up a piece of toast from the tray. "Well, that's what the coffee is for, drink up." Kenma picked a pain reliever pill and a mug of coffee from the tray, downing both of them graciously. "Geez Kenma, you want my mug, too?" Kenma set down the mug and looked at Kuroo. "Careful with that sarcasm, I might take you up on your offer. I'm so thirsty. My mouth is like a dessert. God, I hate being drunk." "Hey, at least you beat 𝘬𝘬𝘪𝘮 at that shots challenge." Kenma grimaced. "At what cost?" Kuroo averted his eyes. "Hey, at what cost indeed. So, how much of last night do you remember?" Kuroo picked up his own mug of coffee, looking into it as he sipped. Looking away from Kenma. "I remember clinging onto you like a koala most of the night. Sorry about that." Kuroo set down the mug and glanced at Kenma, only to get caught in his piercing gaze. "I didn't do anything else embarrassing, right?" Kuroo's eyes widened for a second, then he plastered a smile on his face and patted Kenma's shoulder. "Nothing that made me uncomfortable or anything. I get that I'm irresistible, can't blame your drunk self for being all on me like that." Kuroo picked up Kenma's mug and stood up. "Seriously, don't worry about it, just eat up, okay? I've got to drop you home soon to get to my sister's place on time. I'm gonna go fill this up for you, alright? And you can turn on the TV if you'd like." Just as Kuroo began to walk away, Kenma reached out, fingers grazing Kuroo's arm. "Wah. Kuroo." Kuroo looked at Kenma over his shoulder with a tilt of his head. "Thanks for letting me stay over. And for taking care of me while I was probably a pain." "Oh, no problem. I took an Uber to the bar, so I should be thanking you for letting me get home in your hot car." Kuroo smirked, but Kenma frowned in response. "I know I can get a bit unhinged when I'm drunk. Yeah, I remember that one time you went streaking across. I did not ask for an example. I'm just trying to say that, well, I usually do things worse than being all cuddly, so you can tell me if I did. I want to be able to thank you and apologize properly." Kenma stared into Kuroo's eyes, testing him with his gaze, wishing for him to say exactly what and how he felt about the touchiness, the confessions, the kiss. I already told you, you did nothing. Kuroo looked away, continuing on his way to the kitchen. It's not like you blew up a building or something like that, you're fine. Kuroo was good at acting nonchalant, but Kenma was always better at being able to tell. A week later, Kenma and Kuroo stood in the empty spare room of Kenma's apartment, looking over the mess of stacked boxes and full plastic bags that littered the floor. Kenma. Kuroo placed his hands on his hips with a huff. You bought all this for one cat? You are spoiling this cat rotten. Really? I thought it was too little. ... There's less furniture in your entire apartment than this one room. Oh whatever. Gonna help me set it all up or what? Kuroo sighed and stooped down to begin pulling the parts for a cat tree out of a box. That's what I'm here for, isn't it? Not that I mind, but why didn't you ask Kai or 𝘂𝘂𝘂𝘪𝘬𝘪? Unlike them, I've never had a cat before. Why hadn't Kenma asked them? Undoubtedly, it would have been wiser to ask for the help of a friend with more knowledge about cats and an appropriate room setup. Yet Kenma didn't consider any of this as he called Kuroo the previous night, quite impulsively, to ask if he would like to come over the next day. Since his drunken night in Kuroo's home, Kenma had become filled with an increasing want for Kuroo. He wasn't sure why, nor exactly what he wanted from Kuroo, and the unexplainable longing made him fearful. Though perhaps it was the faint familiarity of the feeling that compelled Kenma to ask Kuroo to be here. Instead of answering Kuroo's question, however, Kenma simply sat on the floor to help Kuroo assemble the cat tree. Just because? Just because? Here I am, spending my day off helping you set up a cat's playground with no pay instead of relaxing, all just because. Kenma rolled his eyes. You've been wanting to come over and see my apartment since the day you took me home after that night at the bar, remember? Kuroo paused his reading of the instructions manual to glance at Kenma with a small, sly smile. Well, this isn't exactly the kind of fun I had in mind when you asked me to come over. With that, Kuroo continued flipping through the manual while Kenma's eyes widened. Had that been an innuendo? Kuroo had made plenty of similar comments when they were once closer, those playful and unimportant, and notably more once they began dating, them lustful and significant. Right now though, what did he mean? Where did they stand on the relationship spectrum? Kenma broke out of his thoughts when a pair of snapping fingers came into focus before his eyes. Hello. I know I'm here to help you out, but you've got to help too. Hold this here while I screw it in. Oh, sure, sorry. That's alright. So, you really finally decided on getting a cat? Yeah, it's a bit lonely around here, and an old acquaintance of mine has an 8-month-old cat up for adoption. Or, when's the cat going to get here? She'll be here within the next month or so, some things need to get sorted out. But I just want to get the room set up now. Ah, I can understand that. Geez, why is this screw being so? The screw that Kuroo had been trying to secure fell to the ground. Kenma and Kuroo reached down at the same time, their hands brushing. The touch was barely there, feather light, yet it was enough to send a jolt of electricity up Kenma's spine. Hey, keep both of your hands on the tree. Kenma's hand quickly flew back to the cat tree, though it was more like a branch, as it was in its beginning stages. His head turned away from Kuroo. But when he felt another brush of firm fingers on his own, Kenma turned back to see that Kuroo's fingers were slightly gripping Kenma's as he carefully rotated the screwdriver. Yet Kuroo's eyes were leveled on Kenma. You read the manual, right? This is how it goes together? Not trusting his voice, Kenma only nodded. It was natural that they would touch during the process of building and setting up the room, Kenma told himself. There was nothing to be shy about, it was only Kuroo, after all, Kenma told himself. Still, Kenma was hyper aware of every nudge of the elbow, every hand brush, every forehead bump, every leg touch. And every spot of his body that Kuroo had accidentally touched sent a new little fire burning in its wake. By the end of 2 hours with only the cat tree, litter box house, and 2 beds set up, Kenma felt scorched. Man, I'm not going to lie to you, I'm feeling tired. Kenma, still chaired, nodded. Same. What? Come on, you didn't even do that much. Holding stuff and watching you struggle was tiring, Kuroo. Kuroo sighed as he stood up from the floor and dusted himself off. Well, I should start heading out. Oh. Well, you don't have to go. You can stay over for lunch, if you'd like. No, I can see that you're tired too. I'll come back next week, every week if I have to, until we finish setting up this room, alright? I promise. Alright. Kuroo stretched an arm out to Kenma, who was still sitting on the floor. Kenma grabbed his hand and allowed Kuroo to help him up. Let me walk you out. Such a gentleman. Oh hush, the front door is like, right there. Kenma led Kuroo to the door which, indeed, was only about a dozen steps away. Kenma opened the door, leaning on the door frame and looking out into the hallway as Kuroo pulled on his shoes. After tying his laces, Kuroo stood up and wrapped his arms around Kenma in a hug. Take care, Kenma. The next time I come over, have some food and a proper apartment tour for me, will you? Hey, what's with you? Get off of me, you're not going off to war. Kuroo leaned back slightly, his breath on Kenma's neck as he spoke. What? You had no issue with touching me the other night. Kuroo leaned back fully now, smirking at Kenma with mischief in his eyes before stepping out the door. Alright, bye. And, as Kuroo disappeared down the hall, leaving Kenma in disbelief, Kenma began to wonder if the touches were intentional. And, against all rationale, he began to wonder if he wasn't the only one filled with want. Kuroo kept his promise and returned to Kenma's apartment each weekend for the following 3 weeks until the cat room was completely set up. During each visit, though, their progress grew slower as their conversations became longer. Besides that, Kuroo's touches became bolder. Kuroo's intention became ever more clear when hair ruffling and gentle elbow nudging turned into his chest pressed against Kenma's back as they put up a shelf, because Kenma was way too short to even think about doing it himself. Still, a small part of Kenma wondered if he was reading it all wrong, and it kept him from reciprocating. So when Kuroo invited Kenma over to his house one night, he was genuinely nervous as he knocked on Kuroo's door. A few moments later, Kuroo opened the door with a wide grin on his face. Kenma. Hey Kuroo. Hey, come in. Kuroo stepped aside, letting Kenma walk through the door. As Kenma toed off his slippers, he watched Kuroo take off his tie and undo the top button of his dress shirt. Why are you all dressed up? I just got home from work 10 minutes ago. There was a bad accident that caused a lot of traffic. Oh, you must be tired. Not tired enough for you. Come, let's go to the living room. Kenma followed Kuroo to the living room couch. He spotted apple pie, plates, 2 wine glasses, and a tall, glass bottle of wine sitting on the coffee table. Kenma's nerves spiked. Kuroo sat down on the couch and patted the space next to him. Kenma took the seat, sitting stiffly as Kuroo cut some apple pie for both of them. You usually get enough energy to run a mile when you see apple pie. Why are you being so weird? It's just, what's up with all this? Oh, don't think much of it, really, it's just for us to eat while we chat. Kenma nodded slowly and took the plate from Kuroo's hand. He picked up a fork and began to slowly eat the pie. This isn't bribery, right? You don't need me to hide a body or anything? Hey, I just said not to worry about it. I just wanted to do something nice for when you came over. Also, I'm officially going to be a pup dad next week. Oh, you found a dog? Yup. Kuroo pulled his phone from his pocket, clicking a few buttons before holding it up for Kenma to see. On the screen was a photo of a Shiba Inu puppy sleeping peacefully on what appeared to be a mitten. His name is 𝘬𝘬𝘬𝘬𝘬. I'm picking him up next week. He is really cute. Right. You can be the godfather if you want. Seriously? Yeah, why not? Kenma snorted. You are really something. I always have been. So. Kuroo pulled the cork out of the wine bottle and poured a generous amount into one of the glasses. He slid it over to Kenma before pouring a glass for himself. A drink for your thoughts, Kenma? Kenma picked up the wine glass and took a small sip. Depends on how many drinks and what thoughts. Smart. Well, you always seem like you have a lot on your mind. I just want you to loosen up a bit, why no? So, how has church been? I don't know. Huh? I don't know. I haven't been to church in a month. What? Why? Kenma sighed and peered into his wine glass. I had a falling out with the church. Some things just made me realize that I'm doing a lot for the church out of feeling obligated and not wanting to be ridiculed rather than because I genuinely want to. And I feel like I'm putting on a show for God so that he'll love me. Hell, I don't even know if I believe in God anymore. Christianity has been a big part of my life for, well, my entire life, but now, the thought of it just hits me so hard in the gut I get nauseous. Kuroo frowned and placed a hand on Kenma's shoulder. I'm sorry to hear that you're feeling that way. Kenma took another sip of wine before setting down the glass. It's okay, it's not your fault. I'll be okay, I hope, it's just kind of hard right now. Do you remember how I said I got into an argument with my mom a few weeks ago? Kuroo looked up at the ceiling for a moment, trying to remember, then slowly began to nod. Yeah, I remember you saying that when. Kuroo's words stopped as he realized his slip-up. Kenma's heart rate sped up as he continued to speak. You remember that? How'd you remember if I never told you? Well, You remember it from that night I was drunk. Kuroo dropped his hand, and Kenma looked into his eyes, seeing guilt mixed with worry. Kenma, Why didn't you say you remembered all that? Why didn't you? Kuroo looked away and screwed his eyes shut. You were confessing things it felt like I shouldn't have been listening to. It was so open and honest and I felt really bad hearing it. So I was hoping you'd forget and just tell me all that in your sober state once you felt more comfortable. More comfortable with me. Kenma hesitantly placed a hand on Kuroo's thigh. Then he let the dam of all the words held back by his tongue break. Is that why you got more touchy-feely with me? To test the waters? Kuroo opened his eyes and met Kenma's gaze. Yeah. Did it work? Yeah. Kind of. Mostly. What more do you need? Kenma took in a deep breath, then exhaled slowly through his nose. Your words. Kuroo reached out and tucked Kenma's hair behind his ear. Kenma. Obviously I've been thinking about you more because, well, we're kind of friends again. And I've moved past our relationship. Still, after all the things you said that night, after you kissed me, it made me realize that it's impossible to pretend we never had anything, and that maybe there's still something there. Kuroo's hands found their way to Kenma's waist. All of a sudden, anxiousness and doubt bloomed in Kenma's chest, stabbing his insides with thorns that grew out of his mouth. Are you sure you even want me in that way anymore? Kuroo opened his mouth to respond, then he faltered. Honestly Kenma, I don't know what I want with you right now. And if we go any further right now, I'll feel like I'm using you to figure that out. That's not fair to you. Boyfriend, friend, or stranger, Kenma, I'll always love you as a person. I always have. I don't want to hurt someone I love. Just as Kuroo began to retract his hands, Kenma pulled Kuroo's arms around himself. Kenma shakily got up on the couch on his knees and shuffled over, slowly wrapping his arms around Kuroo's neck. I don't know exactly what I want either. But I think it has to do with you. Kuroo snorted. Yeah, I thought that much. What exactly do you want right now, Kenma? Kenma's heart began to thump in his ears. He leaned in until his forehead rested on Kuroo's. To be close to you. You? More of you. But. Can I ask you something, Kenma? Yes. Does any part of you still think we're wrong? I don't want any regrets. I don't know for sure, but I don't care. It feels more than okay. It feels perfect. It feels right. Kenma's eyes fluttered shut, and he leaned in to press his lips against Kuroo's. Kuroo met him halfway, his lips smooth and soft like butter spread across a fresh loaf of bread in the morning. Kuroo's hands roamed the length of Kenma's back as Kenma spread his fingers across the sides of Kuroo's face, holding and massaging his face there. Kenma swiped his tongue across Kuroo's bottom lip, beckoning Kuroo to part his lips slightly. Kenma slid his tongue into Kuroo's mouth, tasting the swell of the flavors of cherry wine and sweet apples with cinnamon. Still not breaking apart, Kenma shifted to sit on Kuroo's lap and straddled him. Kenma ground his hips down, causing Kuroo to hum into his mouth. Kenma continued to grind down on Kuroo as he kissed him, and after a few minutes, they were gasping for breath and hard against each other. Kuroo moved his lips to latch onto Kenma's neck, sucking obscenely on the skin there. Kenma let out a small moan and gave Kuroo's hair a tug. Kuroo released his lips from Kenma's neck with a pop and looked into Kenma's eyes. Kuroo's hair was more of a mess than usual, his eyes gleaming with desire and glistening lips. Kenma. Kuroo's hands went lower to squeeze Kenma's butt. How far do you want to go? As far as you want to go. Kuroo kissed Kenma once, twice, then pulled on Kenma's hand and led him to the bedroom. They stumbled into the room, and the second Kuroo shut the door behind them, Kenma's hands were on him. He fumbled with the buttons of Kuroo's dress shirt, his hands too shaky, and Kuroo failed to stifle a laugh. I hate dress shirts, and their dumb buttons. I'll help. With Kuroo's aid, Kenma unbuttoned the rest of Kuroo's shirt and tossed it aside before pulling off the rest of his clothes. In a word, Kuroo looked perfect. He had a body only God could craft. Kenma reached out to place a hand on Kuroo's chest, splaying out his fingers and running them down Kuroo's faint abs. As Kenma did so, Kuroo pulled at the hem of Kenma's hoodie. Off with this, off. When Kuroo began to pull up the hoodie, Kenma firmly placed his hands over Kuroo's. I haven't shaved. So? You always liked me better when I shaved. Kuroo smiled and leaned down to kiss Kenma's nose. It probably only seemed that way because you liked yourself better when you shaved. But you can keep your clothes on if you want. Kenma closed his eyes with a sigh, then shook his head and lifted his arms. Kuroo pulled Kenma's hoodie over his head in a smooth motion and all but tore off the rest of his clothing. Then, he cupped Kenma's face in his hands, making Kenma open his eyes. Kuroo was looking over his entire body with a critical expression, and Kenma began to feel incredibly bare under his cat-like gaze. Kuroo's eyes flitted up to meet Kenma's. He said nothing, instead pressing his lips to Kenma's and guiding them to the bed. Once Kenma's back was against the mattress, Kuroo let up on his lips. Kuroo's eyes were half-lidded, his lips swollen and spit-slicked, looking almost halfway ruined but not nearly enough. His voice was husky as he spoke. You look really good like this, lovely. And, for the first time in a long while, Kenma genuinely blushed. You still like it when I call you that? Kenma lifted his leg and lightly kicked Kuroo's hip. You still talk too much. Kuroo smirked. You know you like that too. Kuroo narrowed his eyes at Kenma and spoke an octave lower. What do you want me to do right now? Kenma hid his surely red face in the crook of his elbow. Can you kiss me? I said, can you kiss me? I can't hear you when you're covering your face. Kenma removed his arm with a huff and a pout. Can you kiss me? Kuroo smiled. Yeah. Kuroo leaned down, and Kenma's pout disappeared as Kuroo kissed him thoroughly. Once he was satisfied, Kuroo lifted his head to drop soft kisses on each of Kenma's eyelids and the tip of his nose. He then left a path of kisses from Kenma's chin up to his jawline, taking a moment to nibble at the sensitive spot behind his ear. Kenma covered his mouth with a hand as he tried to stifle a moan when Kuroo began to suck a new hickey on his neck. Kuroo used one hand to lift Kenma's hand off his mouth, the other rubbing the divot of Kenma's hip. Let me hear you. That was all he said before he was back on Kenma's neck, and Kenma could do nothing but let a broken moan escape his mouth. Pleased, Kuroo moved on to leave a curved trail of kisses across and down Kenma's chest, paying special attention to every blemish on Kenma's body, his birthmark, bumps, scars. And every kiss was setting off a little fire on Kenma's skin, though unlike before, it set his entire being ablaze, making him feel warm all over. As they combed through Kuroo's hair, Kenma's own fingers seemed like white slivers of flame. Kuroo reached for Kenma's hand and pulled it from his hair, placing a kiss on each of Kenma's fingers. He mumbled against Kenma's knuckles. You okay? You're shaking. It was then that Kenma realized he was trembling. Yeah, I'm okay. Overwhelming? Want to stop? Hell no. Kuroo chuckled and released Kenma's hand. He moved downwards to press a kiss against Kenma's hip bone before traveling to his inner thigh, causing Kenma's breath to hitch. Kuroo. Kuroo looked up. What's up with this? With what? The kisses. You wanted me to kiss you. Well, yeah, but you're like trying to kiss every part of me. As if he could read Kenma's mind, Kuroo smiled and laughed. I'm worshipping all of you. Kuroo licked a stripe up Kenma's thigh to emphasize, and Kenma let out an almost embarrassing whimper. Kuroo continued to kiss every part of Kenma's body, each and every nook and crevice explored. It left Kenma a bit dizzy, and his body was still burning all over. Then calloused hands were holding his cheeks, bringing him back to reality. You good there, lovely? Alright, I'm gonna get some stuff we need, okay? Kenma nodded, then the weight of Kuroo above him disappeared as he left the room. Suddenly, self-consciousness took over Kenma, and he went rigid with anxiety. But before negative thoughts could even begin to swarm Kenma's head, Kuroo returned and placed a knowing, reassuring kiss on Kenma's nose. Just like the first time they had ever done this. Still, Kenma was a bit nervous. Though he had done this kind of thing before, with only Kuroo of course, he wasn't exactly experienced and a bit of a prig when it came to anything erotic. After all, this was one of those indisputable, yet incredibly tempting, wrongdoings written about throughout the Bible. But with the way that Kuroo was looking at him now, he couldn't think of anything but doing all sorts of things with him. After placing some items on the side of the bed, Kuroo went back around to Kenma. He wrapped his arms around Kenma's waist and lowered his body onto him before whispering in his ear. Tell me something that'll make me feel good. Shivers ran down Kenma's spine. 𝘒𝘶𝘳𝘰𝘴. I want all of you. And I'll give you all of me, if you want. And as though they were magnets, their lips and bodies were drawn together until they were flush against each other, touches becoming more frantic as desperation clawed at each of them. Sex was the most ethereal sin either of them could ever commit. The sunset that spilled into the room was witness to their sacrilege, though their secret was tucked away in the moonlight. Every thrust, squeeze, and pull was delicate and light, each moan drawn out being meaningful. They touched and kissed and nipped at each other with so much care as though the other was made of glass. Even the bruises and scratches were beautifully etched. They both came with each other's names on their lips, hugging and kissing as they came down from their post-coital high. Afterward, Kuroo led them to the bathroom where they scrubbed each other in the shower. Kuroo cleaned Kenma up so gently that it made Kenma feel soft and sheepish. Once they were done, they changed the sheets together and laid back in the newly made bed. Kenma rested against Kuroo's chest, trying his best to stay awake as Kuroo ran his fingers through Kenma's hair. So, how was it? Kenma smiled sleepily. You're asking me that now? Yeah, I need to know if you liked it. It was good. Kuroo chuckled, likely understanding that Kenma's words meant a lot more than he let on. I'm glad. It was a lot more intense than I expected it to be though. Kuroo hummed. I feel the same way actually. That's just the effect you have on things, Kenma. Kenma wrapped an arm around Kuroo's waist. I missed you. There it was, his confession, raw and honest. And when he said the words, there were no qualms. I missed you too. With a small smile, Kenma drifted off to sleep. Tora, hey, morning. What the hell are you doing calling me at like 8 AM? Kenma was crouched in the corner of his bathroom, clutching onto his phone for dear life as he spoke into it. I have a big problem. Yeah, you must be if you're calling at this time. What happened? I had sex with Kuroo last night. ... You what? Kenma winced. Please don't scream. Sorry, but, what the hell? Were you guys drunk or something? Was it at least at one of your houses? Is he gay? Are you gay? Oh my god, are you both gay? Kenma pinched the bridge of his nose. I know this is a lot for you to take in right now, but can you at least let me speak? Kenma heard Yamamoto sigh. Yeah, sorry, okay. Go ahead. So, neither of us is exactly gay. But, we like guys. So bisexual? Yeah. The reason we stopped talking was more than some incident. We broke up 2 years ago. We were dating. Secretly. For 3 years. ... No way. You're kidding. You're cranking me, right? Kind of wish I was. Kuroo and I are friends again. Well, probably not friends after yesterday, but, anyway, there's been a build-up of tension these past few weeks and I went over to his place last night and one thing led to another and yeah. Yamamoto let out a long whistle. Wow. This is all just, wow. Why are you telling me all this now? Because I needed to vent and I am freaking out in my bathroom right now and don't know what to do. What? You're back at home? You left? Yes. Right after all this morning? ... Kenma. I know, spare me. Kenma sighed and leaned against the door. I panicked when I woke up. He had his arms wrapped around me and he was being all smiley in his sleep and it felt like we were together again. And that scares you? Yeah. Why did you break up? And why did you keep your relationship a secret in the first place? I've been Christian all my life. I've been taught that a guy being in a relationship with another guy is a sin. I felt guilty all the time. I've always felt attraction toward guys, but it just felt wrong. Does it feel wrong now? It doesn't feel wrong. But I'm still lost. I've just started feeling okay about this, and then I rushed into things like a complete idiot. I don't regret it, I just wish I knew how to handle all this. Well, Kenma, I won't tell you what's right or wrong because I know you'll decide. And I know you'll make the best decision for yourself. But I will say that I personally think everything between you and Kuroo-san is okay. And even if I wouldn't have understood, I wish you didn't have to go through years of feeling so bad about yourself all alone. You should definitely go back and talk to Kuroo-san though. If you're not ready for that today, at least shoot him a text to check in, okay? Okay. Feeling a bit calmer now? Yeah, actually. Good. Is there anything else you want to let out? I've got about 20 minutes before I have to get back to practice. No, not for now at least. I'm just tired. You've gotta be, Kenma, you've gotta be. I'll let you get going now then. Just to be clear. I accept you, support you even. I love you man, okay? To Kenma's surprise, tears sprung into his eyes. Thank you, Tora. No problem. If you need me later, I'll be available after 3ish, okay? Okay. Talk to you soon, Kenma. Bye. Kenma ended the call and blinked back his tears. He took a few moments to just breathe before he opened his phone again to send a text. Messages with Kuroo. Sunday, 8:19 a.m. Hey. Sorry I left like that. Kenma, hey good morning. I was just about to text you. You okay? I'm fine. You? Just a little worried about you. Are you regretting yesterday? No. You? No. Can I come over later? To talk about things? Yeah definitely. I was going to ask the same thing. We definitely need to talk lol. I'm not sure about tonight though, I'll be home around 9. Tomorrow? I'll be home by 7. Tomorrow then. Okay, take care. You too. Kuroo. Why are you staring at me? Kenma and Kuroo were sitting beside each other on top of the roof of Kenma's house. Kuroo had suggested it, of course. The house was a bit old, and Kenma was wary about getting onto the roof because it's an old rental, the shingles might fall, and I don't want to have to pay for anything. But with a blanket beneath and around them as they sat close to each other, braving the cool night air while they stared at the full moon, Kenma couldn't even think about the shingles. Yet Kuroo was looking at him instead of the beauty of the moon before him. Something wrong? Well, yes. I mean, no. I wouldn't say it's wrong, but it's a bit of an issue. Care to share? Kuroo exhaled slowly. Kenma, you're my best friend, right? And I can tell you anything, right? Yeah? Kuroo, you're seriously worrying me right now. Just spit out what's wrong. I love you. The words were nearly enough to send Kenma flying off the roof. You, what? I'm in love with you. I think I have been for a long time. Kuroo sighed and finally looked at the moon. Being in love is a gross feeling when you're just pining. So I had to tell you, I just had to. Did I make you uncomfortable? I'm sorry if I did. No, you didn't, And the feeling that had been swelling up inside Kenma since the day Kuroo first confessed he liked guys finally burst. I think I love you too. Kuroo whipped his head. What? You do? Not sure himself. Kenma repeated the words again, slowly, but quickly enough before his feeling of guilt could consume him. I love you. Then Kenma buried his face in his hands. Oh my god. Unbelievable. Kenma, you okay? No, I'm not okay. I'm in love with you. What the hell? What? Oh my god. Kenma, please don't freak out on me. Wait, why do you seem just as confused as me? Because I didn't know. How didn't you know? I never realized. Until I said it. ... Yeah? Goodness. Kenma began to shake, and Kuroo wrapped his arms around him in an embrace. Hey, it's okay, it's just me. It'll probably take us a while to figure this out, but we'll talk it out. We'll figure it out. For now though, I think we should head back inside, okay? And if the soft pressure that Kenma felt on top of his head was Kuroo's lips, he'd never know. The next day when Kenma knocked on Kuroo's door, there was only a bit of nervousness streaming through his veins. He'd had time to think of everything he wanted to say, and he had a small, folded up piece of paper with notes in his jacket pocket. When Kuroo opened the door, dressed in his sleeping clothes with a toothbrush in hand, Kenma found that the layer of tension between them was thin. Kuroo offered a small smile. Hey Kenma. Kenma smiled back. Hey. Interrupting? Just a bit. Come in. Kuroo opened the door wider and stepped aside, letting Kenma enter. I'm gonna go wash up. Give me 5 minutes, okay? Okay. Kenma took off his shoes as Kuroo left to go back to his bathroom, then Kenma quietly led himself to the living room. Once he sat down on the couch, he folded his hands in his lap as though he were praying. Shortly thereafter, Kenma felt the weight of Kuroo sitting beside him on the couch. He turned his head to see that Kuroo, too, had his hands folded in his lap, and it felt like they were two sinners at the altar. Kenma began to reach for the notes in his pocket when Kuroo's voice stopped him. Casual sex is off the table. Kenma snorted and put his hand back in his lap. Yeah, I agree. So. The two turned to look at one another. What are we? In my mind, we're exes turned friends that got heated and hooked up. But, there's a little something more, isn't there? We hooked up because of feelings, not just horniness. Well, before we decide what this. Kuroo gestured between them. Are you okay? Kenma blinked. Yeah, I'm okay. Why wouldn't I be? You're being quiet and I can't stop thinking that you're regretting everything that happened last night. Kenma shook his head wildly. I don't, not at all. To be honest, maybe I'll regret the sex part later, like the fact that that's what got us here. Always such a prude. Who's been a dedicated Christian, mind you. But, anyway, I don't regret you. Not anymore. I love you, Kuroo, okay? And my belief in Christ wasn't enough to stop me from loving you. Maybe there is a God, and, who knows, maybe they are just like the one my church taught me about. Even then, I still love you. I've started to accept that. It's taken me a long time to, but I don't think I can stand to be in denial any longer. I'm sorry for everything I put you through because I couldn't accept myself, or us. That's an apology long overdue. Kuroo let out a long sigh and ran a hand through his hair. Thanks, Kenma. You're forgiven. You were forgiven a long time ago. And, I'm sorry as well, for not empathizing with you when you needed me the most. I love you too, but like I said yesterday, I'll always love you as a person. After yesterday, I hope it's obvious there's some romantic love there, but my heart's not fully in it to jump back into something with you. Why no? Because there's not enough romantic love, or because there hasn't been enough time? Honestly, both. I never planned to be with you again, Kenma. Hell, a small part of me is frustrated at my brain for letting me fall for you yet again. Kuroo cracked a smile. There's something about you, I guess. But, what do you want our relationship to be like? Kenma opened his mouth, but no words came out. He hadn't even thought of that. Since yesterday, all Kenma could think of were his feelings for Kuroo, not what he wanted as a manifestation of those emotions. Dating? Boyfriends? Eventual marriage? None of it crossed his mind. The farthest his brain would let him imagine was their fingers entwined with smiles on their lips as they kissed softly, I love you dripping off their tongues like warm honey. I just want wherever our feelings end up taking us. Kuroo grinned. Typical Kenma response. I want that too. Let's go super slow with this process, okay? Natural progression. I don't want us to rush and feel like we have to have what we used to. In fact, I think it's best we don't have what we used to. I want something new with you. Kenma nodded. All the hiding, lying, and crying of their previous relationship. He could do away with that. Kuroo reached out to hold Kenma's hand. Our last relationship ended because there was secrecy. About feelings and things that happened and stuff that was bothersome. It felt restricting. This time around, let's both just always say what's on our minds, no matter how small it seems, okay? Kenma nodded and responded with a sureness in his voice he'd lacked for a long time now. Okay. This was okay. This would be fine. They'd talk it out. They'd figure it out. Along the way, they'd decide what was right and wrong for them together.